President Donald Trump hit the ground running when it comes to immigration reform. This week, he signed 2 executive orders which called for the building of a wall between Mexico and the United States and also blocks the entry of refugees from Syria, among other countries. Here to talk to us about how will this affect the immigrant population in this country is Oscar Chacon from Alianza Americas. Good morning, Oscar.
Anna, it's a pleasure to be here.
I think we haven't seen this in years, at the first week of a presidency, so many changes that will impact immigration happen so quickly.
Absolutely. This is the first time, as a matter of fact. And I think that the president is using to the full extent of the capacity the concept of executive orders. Because, I mean, everything that we've seen so far this week is all in the form of executive orders.
Right, nothing that goes in front of Congress that needs a vote?
That is correct. I mean, at least not so far. Although some of the things that he announced cannot really be done, without going through Congress eventually. For example, the border wall.
The wall.
Yeah.
And as we saw in that package beforehand, there is a wall already. It does not work.
That's right.
And the area that does not have the wall, a lot of it is because the terrain doesn't allow it.
That's correct.
So is this posturing? Is this a PR campaign? Is this kind of like a symbol of I'm going to build a humongous wall just to show you that I'm still powerful and I can stop you?
Well, I think it's important to keep in mind the reason the president is focusing so ferociously on immigration at this point is because the people very close to him that advise him during the campaign really come from a sector in U.S. society that truly hates immigrants, truly believe that we should have zero immigration altogether. These are really extremist, types, I mean, who truly, truly believe that we are somehow being invaded, none of which is true. But as we all know, true doesn't matter, I mean, for this particular administration. And on the border wall, to some degree, it is a distraction because, frankly, the most concerning aspect of our borders is the amount of drugs that keep coming into the U.S. I mean, it is ironic that we have actually more drugs coming into the U.S. today than we had back in 1980 or in 1990. And you can see it in terms of the numbers of people who get addicted, the numbers of people who are dying of overdose. And yet, nobody talks about these issues. And the border is, again, a distraction because most of drugs coming into the country don't necessarily cross in the areas where they are proposing to build a wall.
The wall, that's what I was going to ask you. And a lot of them come by plane, ship. There's different ports that receive them.
Exactly.
And the same thing with immigration. People overstay their visas.
Yes.
They came on an airplane.
Only about 40–45% of people who end up in this country living without an immigrant visa, without authorization, does it actually crossing the border. Most people actually come here with a visa of some sort, and then they overstay.
Well, do you think they will ever address the broken immigration system in the country? Because if there are 11 million undocumented people in this country, there is a problem with the system. There's no path to citizenship. There's no way of doing it the documented way.
The system has been broken for a long time, going back, frankly, to the mid-1960s. That's when we began developing a system that has taken us to where we are today. And the bottom line is nobody is living in this country without authorization because so they wish. I mean, it's because there is no alternative. And many other countries, we're not unique, many other countries have issues with people coming in and staying without permission, but they have a mechanism to periodically address the presence of this population and creating opportunities for people to actually obtain legal status in the country where they are. We don't have such a thing. And so that's why, this continues to be a problem, which unfortunately, I have to say, President Obama kind of missed the opportunity to actually advance us in the best direction we could have gone in as far as how to address these issues.
This whole situation is making the dreamers very nervous.
Yes, indeed.
Not for themselves, and as we know, the dreamers are those kids that were brought to this country without papers, and that's how they live. And Obama had, in a way, saved them, allowed them to stay so they can continue their dream to get an education.
Absolutely.
What do you think is going to happen? Trump said, don't be afraid. The president says in a few weeks, we will find a mechanism to keep you here.
Well, it's hard to know because, again, I was telling you about the people who advises President Trump on these matters. They hate the dreamers. They wish the dreamers be all deported.
Why do they hate the dreamers?
Well,
they're kids.
Look, these are white nationalist-minded types. They truly, truly believe that everybody who comes from south of the border is somehow infecting our national identity. And that's why they want to see all these people deported. I am actually very worried that if people like Stephen Bannon keeps advising so closely the president, they will actually take mean action against the students. I don't really take to the bank any words to the effect that they shouldn't worry. I mean, they should worry, but more importantly, we should get to do more of the organizing that needs to be done that shows the fact that people like the Dreamers, but frankly, everybody else who is in this country, even those without visas, are contributing very positively to our nation. And that's the truth that we need to actually get out there.
Right. So an organization like yours, that is what you're focusing on.
Absolutely. Doing that and also doing, especially nowadays, fostering of even more declarations of support, for immigrants in this country, whether that is in the form of sanctuary cities or any other declaration that allow us to make visible that there are people who don't buy this set of lies.
Because that was the other part of this executive order, that they were going to, I don't want to say retaliate, but take action against the cities like Chicago that have declared themselves for decades as sanctuary cities. What does that mean, Oscar? Does that mean they're going to take federal funding away?
They're basically toying with the idea of taking away federal money coming into these localities. But that is really a very dangerous path for this president to take. Keep in mind that the state of California, which is one of the most actively opposing states in the country to this set of policies, they are actually bankrolling our federal treasury because most people in this country live in California. And they contribute to federal tax coffers more than anybody else. So it is a dangerous game to actually threaten cities like Chicago, cities like Los Angeles, or states like California with defunding them with federal money. Keep in mind, federal money is your money and my money.
Taxpayers' money.
Indeed.
Which is, even though we're bilingual, it's what we are.
We still pay.
We still pay.
Absolutely.
Oscar, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
Alianza Americas, Oscar Chacon, thank you so much for joining us. Different times we're living.